Gregory Bolden and Carlos Walker, thank you guys for being a part of the Impact of Mass Incarceration series and Creativity is My Freedom exhibition. I'm going to ask you guys two questions. How has mass incarceration impacted your lives, and why is it important for people to know about the impact of mass incarceration?
Me personally speaking, mass incarceration it has impacted my life because being ignorant to a lot of things and a lot of pitfalls and the traps that the system sets towards and geared towards men of color, especially in disenfranchised and underdeveloped communities. We have no other outlet but to turn, or so to speak, to violence. It's going on a year that I just been free from incarceration, so it's coming from you know that space and that head and that frame of mind. I think personally, this situation, this setting, and what I'm saying, representing um, the dynamic as a whole from shedding light on mass incarceration. That's very important because a lot of people that they're still chasing the chimera, the castle in the cloud, and they just don't know about the ramification and and some really can't fully appreciate and understand the consequences of their actions. This is something that really needs to be highlighted and further discussed and have a repetitive conversation because we as a whole, and not just the minority and the black race, but everybody is affected by it. And this carceral system, a lot of people say, oh, it needs to be fixed. Well, it needs to be an overhaul because the system is actually doing what it was designed to do.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not, in fact, broken, so to speak, because it's working just fine. Just as in the fashion that those designers and architects design it. So I think it's very important for people to become more informed and aware, and to keep themselves and on the right path.
Carlos?
So as far as me, most of the stuff that he just said, I was about to say, but what I will say is this. And the architects of the system know exactly what they were setting up. What I mean by that, the president. President Joe Biden created a 100-to-1 crack law back in the 1980s, 1990s, early. And what ended up happening? It was destructive to a whole entire community. Now, they have even come back to say what they did wrong and haven't fixed it. In 2010, I think it was, President Obama, his vice president, who was the architect of this, he was also with them when they dropped it down to 18-to-1, and I'm talking about the crack law, from 100 to 1 to 1-to-1. I mean to 18-to-1. Now, it is, the first time they changed it, it was like 20-something years. The second time, it's been over 13 years, over 13 years, and it still hasn't been fixed. And you got young black men still getting locked up for crack cocaine up under the same draconian, as they use draconian law, and it has still never been fixed. To me, the architect needs to fix it. Like he said, the person who actually was the architect of it knew what they was doing, still haven't even came forward to even, and they didn't trust that it was wrong and haven't fixed it. Congress, most of them same people who was in Congress back then still in it now. The system is broken. No, it is not broken. It's doing what it's supposed to do. And what I see is it's people who are having this that is allowing us and giving us a platform to be able to do this, to actually give a word and allowing us to be a voice for it. That I'm grateful for. I'm grateful for the people who spoke up and helped make laws change that I could even be home. I wouldn't even be coming home until this year, but because of people that God chose, Van Jones, Kim Kardashian, all these people fighting on our behalf, we got to come home. But the system itself, we had to endure as a whole some harsh realities because of our skin color, for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
And the crazy thing is, yes, we may have benefited from it, but that doesn't mean the system was actually a benefit for us. This is because of certain choices that God has given us to actually utilize, art being one of them.
Yep.
We didn't have to sit back there and read books like Malcolm X to to basically educate ourselves. What we end up doing, it was because of people like him who had been in before I even came in that I got to get amongst them. But it ain't that the system built them up, it's the people who built them up that was sitting back there. And for that, I'm grateful to God for, and for the people who are working on people's behalf like yourself tonight and others. So the system didn't help, but we're here to help and be the voice for those in and the people that's out here that can't do it.
Hi everyone, thank you so much for coming out tonight. We really appreciate your presence here. My name is Jamie, like Zumar said, and this is my wonderful colleague Erin. We are program assistants with Justice Arts Coalition, and we are so thrilled to be bringing this exhibition to the Tacoma Park community tonight. Justice Arts Coalition is a national organization, and like Zumar said, we work with currently and formerly incarcerated artists and writers all across the nation in order to uplift and amplify the voices of those most directly impacted by carceral systems. We believe that art is a bridge between the inside and outside of prison, and it can be used to foster and strengthen relationships between people inside and outside, as well as remind us of our shared humanity, our common struggles, and uplift voices most directly impacted. We run a variety of programming, both online and in person, like this exhibition, and we have lots of opportunities for getting involved in all different ways. So if you're interested in any way, please talk to myself, Erin, or our volunteer coordinator, Jamie, who is also here tonight in the back. And I'm going to pass it over to Erin, who's going to talk a little bit more about what's coming up next.
Hi everyone. How's everybody doing?
Good.
Good. I'm happy. Okay, cool. I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to see you all. It's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful time. Thank you to the artists that are here in person. I know we'll be able to talk to you all shortly, but we couldn't do this without you all, and you're amazing work. So thank you. Coalition, we have a number of programs. One of the programs that we're incorporating for the night is our Art Links. Art Links started out as a virtual program during lockdown and recently transitioned to in-person. So every other month, we pull out the new work of artists that we have in our network. Folks come in, and folks have the opportunity to respond to the artwork. We send those responses back to the artists, so they have the opportunity to be in communication, in community, and also let folks know, and artists know inside that we see you, we see your work, and just kind of uplift that, let folks know what they think about it, show love. And oftentimes we do get to hear back from folks with their excitement about this program. So we're excited to bring it here to you all today. With that said, you all have the opportunity to respond to any artwork tonight. We're gonna leave just regular little sheets of paper and pen as you're exiting and coming in and out of this back room. Just grab one, write the name of the artist that you see, and respond to the work however you see fit, whatever feels good to you. If it's, this is beautiful, and that's it, then I love you, that's cool. If it's, hey, it's prompted you to tell them your story, do that too, whatever you want to do. If you do, and if you are able to do it, just bring it back to that same clipboard, put it at the bottom of the sheet, and we will send that back to out to those artists next week, so they will receive your response. Art League will happen every other month, as I mentioned, and we will have it at our headquarters, which is just around the corner from here at 7112 Willow Avenue. That's going to be this month, August 23rd. If you all signed up and signed in, you will get information on that. We will be in touch. One more thing I'll mention about the artwork is that, as you can see, as you're coming in and out, a lot of the work are around booths, around tables. So just be mindful if folks are sitting at those tables, read the room. And that's it as far as Art Links goes. We are going to play an interview of Harry Ellis, who's an artist that's inside, that I had the opportunity to interview. His work is when you come in and you go left, if you're acting as if you're coming in the front door, to the left in that little lounge area, he has all 5 of his works back there. Those are the works that I will be speaking about, but also they'll be up here. So if you want to take a little time to check those out in more detail, they're beautiful, they're amazing. You all can head back there and do that. Harry Ellis is a DMV native. He has been in and out throughout his life. He was an artist as a kid, and it's in his family. And being inside has kind of prompted him to tap back into that, what he was doing as a creative as a kid, and I had the opportunity to talk about that, and you'll hear that, and his kind of, excitement around being able to be an artist and what would things look like if he wasn't inside of this creativity.
Next in the program, we have an artist discussion between two artists whose work is going to be featured, and I'm sorry, as you can see, I'm doing a lot. So let me get that slideshow ready for you. Intermission.
Go, girl.
All right. Gregory Bolden. Greg Bold, E-N, the artist, the youngest of three siblings, is a DC native that was reared in the northeast quadrant of the city. Obviously birthed with a natural gift that only God can give. It was at the tender age of 6, by the instruction of his first grade teacher to complete a drawing assignment before the end of class, that he discovered that inherent gift for drawing. Never having any formal tutelage, he considers his gift a blessing that he is obligated to share with the world as an illustration of God's glory. Bolden has done and continues to do just that, literally. Bolstered with redemptive efforts to reform and give back to society, he, along with fellow inmates Harry Ellis, Kevin Burno, Antonio Nero, Jaron Holly, Brian Marsh, and Keith Thomas, have founded and formulated a youth mentoring program and curriculum called PUSH. Let's just go ahead and give a round of applause. PUSH is an acronym for persistent until success happens. The PUSH program is wholeheartedly committed to the uplifting of our youth by helping them to identify who they are in this world and assist them in obtaining the highest degree of mind, body, and soul, which are recognized as 3 of the 5 dimensions. As PUSH facilitators, they're dedicated to fitting our youth with the fortitude to become responsible and productive men while holding firm to their integrity and humility. Thus, they may have what it takes to say no to crime and destructive influences, enabling them to strive in a positive, crime-free, and drug-free lifestyle. Our youth will be equipped to push. Bolden's most acclaimed titles above that of creative are those of, I'm so sorry, I just ran on. Bolden's most acclaimed titles above being a mentor to these young men is being a loving husband and father, which I had the opportunity to meet his beautiful wife, and his family is just the same. So yes, thank you all for the time. In addition to being an artistic engineer whose reach magnifies beyond sometimes even his own imagination. Look out for the expansion of his dexterities as he embarks as an author of art, comedy, coming to media outlets everywhere soon. You heard it here, folks, at Busboys and Poets to come. Okay? Next, we're going to have Carlos Walker. Carlos Walker is 39 and a budding artist who was born in Halifax, Virginia, to Hilton and Inell Walker. Carlos being the youngest of 6 children. Carlos has been drawing since the early age of 8. He remembers his high school art teacher, Miss Ferguson, as his earliest supporter. Despite his early discovered talent, Walker did not envision a career in art for himself and chose to put his talent to the side. At the age of 24, Walker found himself facing a 20-year mandatory minimum sentence. After serving 13 years, Walker was released and in the midst found his way back to art. Let's welcome back. He just told me that he would have been released this year, and you're going to be able to hear his story. And through God's work, he was able to come home way earlier than that. So I cannot wait for you guys to hear the way God has really moved and worked in these men's lives, and the way that their art has had the ability to impact individuals. And next, we're going to have Miss Carole. I love Miss Carole. This is going to be real personal. Miss Carole is the curator at Busboys and Poets. So if you ever get the chance to go to any of our other restaurants, you are looking at Miss Carol's installation. She works with artists all around the world, and she makes sure that our restaurant is always adorned with beautiful pieces. But that's my personal opinion of her. Let me tell you a little bit about her based on her bio. She posed a question to her art professor at the Kansas City Art Institute, who was encouraging her to incorporate influences of Matisse and Miro in her artwork. Who are Black artists and what are they doing? His response was that you will have to find out for yourself. Therein lies the mission of a 30-plus year journey of exploration and support of diverse voices in the visual arts. Her degrees are BA in Art History from Howard University. Do I have anybody from HU? I know it. I knew y'all was in here. And the MFA in Curatorial Practice from the Maryland Institute College of Art. Do we have any people from Baltimore? I know we got Baltimore. Her work experience includes art administration, art education, development, fundraising, and now curator for museums, galleries, and alternative spaces in the DMV area, as well as Kansas City, Missouri. She served as a curator at the Reginald F. Lewis Museum and for the Howard University Interdisciplinary Research Building. She has held position for the curator as stated since 2013 here at Busboys and Poets. In addition, she currently serves as an adjunct professor for art appreciation for non-majors at Howard University and an adjunct professor for African American art at the University of the District of Columbia. So if anyone wants to ask her, how does she sleep? I would like to know as well. So without further ado, please join me in a round of applause as I welcome my speakers.
Good evening, everybody. How we doing? Now we get started.
I first want to welcome everybody. It's such a wonderful thing to see all of you in the audience here supporting the programs and supporting the artists. I also get this moment to acknowledge, as you can see, the hard work of Tamara Collington. She has put together this program that is not just this exhibition, but several other programs in conjunction with the incarceration that's been discussed, point of perspective for this whole week on incarceration and its impact on the community. So I'd really like for you all to give Tamara a really I'm seeing the work she's been doing the past several weeks, so I have to always acknowledge excellence, and that's ingenious.
So, I guess we also have to ask questions. We talk about art, I guess the very beginning thing, we always want to have a level of foundation of where we're all coming from. And my first question to you is give a definition of art and how it has impacted your life. I'm going to ask you the same question. Define art, visual art, how it has impacted your life.
I have it. Microphone check.
1, 2, 1, 2.
She got it. Okay, as far as my definition of the visual art is anything that I can create, whether it's a drawing, a sculpture, a painting, film, a photography, anything that you can visually see with your eye. That's what visual art is. Anything that I can articulate that you can see. And
where does that inspiration?
It comes from within. Seeing people, seeing art, seeing other artists, and just getting in tune with your spirit, and just looking at life and deepening your imagination. Bringing these things to the cinema, whether it be your campus or whatever your choice of visual medium is. It has impacted my life, I'm talking in a tremendous fashion, because I used to be an formerly incarcerated artist. This is my first year home. agree with that. I'm thankful for that. But it has a tremendous impact on me because it afforded me the ability to take care of myself, both financially. It's just a marvelous gift for me to be able to not only just do for myself, but extend, financial help to those that are on the outside. So I just want to be a burden to anyone during the course of my incarceration. That impact, it has allowed me personally to, in that type of setting, to go and it provided me with the raw materials that I needed to articulate deep pieces in the dark area during that course of time, and just flourish as an artist and grow into the artist that I am today. So it had a positive impact on my work.
And for you, Carter? So, I'm sorry, you were sort of describing art and then
I guess. So, to describe it, I would say to bring anything into visualization, kind of like I said, film, art, something that you can see. To take words and to be able to transform them or transition them from, as a book can show you, you can read the words, but if you can't paint the picture, you never really get to see what was there. But if you can take those words and bring them to life, this is what artists does, or what God does. We just create what God has given us to give back to you. This is our gift. So,
thank you.
to take that, and you're welcome, to be able to take the words or the thoughts out of our head, give them back, because it means everything to an artist.
Impact, again,
How does it impact my life? Biggest thing I could say is, it has given me a gift where I no longer have to sell drugs. I was able to take my heart, or as the Bible says, your gift to make room for you and put you before great men. So what I was able to do was take my gift and share with the world what I felt, my emotions, my feelings, my thoughts. I'm able to share with y'all through my artwork. As you can see, what it looked like for an inmate, or this is a role reversal. So you see police, lawyers, prosecutors, you see them in prison. You see the inmate in the guard. I'm able to take and show you what life looks like for someone else through my art. And the impact that it does, I'm able to make money off my gift. I'm able to be around y'all now because I was in prison, but now I'm here to be an impact to the world.
And while you have the mic, can you both just explain your relationship? Because I think from the outside looking in, it looks like we just picked two random artists and brought them together. So if y'all could just explain that as well.
Well, during the course of my incarceration, I met Carole. We were in Livingston together, and we formed a relationship because it was genuine, it was organic. We used to work out with each other. We joined the choir and the praise team. We were each other's confidants, and it was like, him and I, we used to always get it. It was like church scandal in prison, and we used to always, be the butt of the situation. And we created a long-lasting brotherly bond. And we supported one another. And I'm talking to the point where though I consider him more family than some of my biological family. And it's an amazing. Yeah, it's crazy. It's a surreal feeling because not one point in my life I think that I'll be on the stage sharing my testimony.
Sorry. Take your time. Take your time.
This brother as well as Harry Ellis, my other brother who's incarcerated, has had a tremendous positive impact on my life personally. And I'm talking about, and that's really what it is about being rehabilitated, showing genuine and unconditional love and supporting one another so we can elevate and get towards higher heights. And that's what love and unity and the brotherhood, and we've all done this through the connection of art and God. So I'm just grateful to even be on the stage, because him and I, we didn't share many stages in jail, all for the glory of God, all for the glory of God. And it's just amazing to see him, you know what I'm saying, walking in his anointing and his calling, and to share the same stage, the sentiment and love with him. It's a beautiful thing. So I personally, I welcome, and I thank you all for, you know, for being advocates for second chances and for you know, accepting me back into society. Once I was a destructive agent, when I wasn't conscious of what life and manhood was supposed to be. So I thank you all, my new family, and I'm not going to, you know, take up too much time with Miss Carole. But yeah, it's a beautiful thing, man. So did I answer the question?
And it is a beautiful thing, looking and recognizing the transformative power of art, you know, and creativity. As you said, creativity is our freedom. You can answer one, please.
So he's my mentor. The only reason why I know how to, God sent him in a dark time, and he showed me. I had quit drawing at the age of 16. Got locked up at the age of 24, and nine years ago, 2014, I seen him in the art room using pastels. And I looked and I said, hey, I think I did one pencil drawing, so I think I could do this. I took a picture, after watching, went back and did it. And it came out perfect. And I said, hold on. And I did not ever use color. I never used color until then. But from then till now, I've never picked up a pencil again. So what I thank God for is him being a part of my life.
Yeah.
And that's our relationship. Yes, to be a mentor, praise team stages, you know, praising God together, singing songs, in the midst of our time. If I can't take you nothing else, in the midst of your darkness or your darkest hour, morning starts. 12:01 is when morning starts. There's a verse that you probably will hear a lot about Bible verse. There's a verse that says, let me see what I this out. Joy, weeping men endure for the night, but joy cometh in the morning. Morning starts at 12:01. What happened in the middle of prison? We learn to find joy or freedom and creativity.
I want to ask you questions about art. How did incarceration influence your sense of identity and value as an artist?
Good question. Well, it has influenced my sense of identity because during these times, and these are, it's unpredictable, dark moments. And when you're in jail and you have been stigmatized, you have been ostracized, and you're not seen as a human being. You're just looked upon as a piece of chattel and a number, and that's just what you are. You have no rights to anything. You have no rights to be respected. You're just state's property. But having the mental fortitude though I was incarcerated, I always stayed free in my mind. I didn't resort to using and abusing drugs or doing anything of any illegal means to support myself. I always said in my head, I'm going to give this time back just like the judge gave it to me. So I mean, though the truth was in our aspect that I was sentenced to 32 years. And though I had the time, realistically, I never accepted it. And I was just like, man, you know what, I'm not gonna be conformed to this. I wanted better for myself, I wanted better for my peers, so I had to start to change my mind and my direction and my thinking and the people that I was around that had an influence on me. So it's no longer going to be to where as though you're hanging around me for whatever personal means and gains, so it's going to benefit you, and I'm the only one suffering the consequences. I had to make that choice up front, clear, and direct to where as though my movements, everything that I was going to do thus far was going to be of a positive note, and I always asked myself the question, how is this going to affect my family and those who are supporting me if I make this decision? So in terms of how did it affect my identity, what it allowed me to do to see where I was for face value, and I had to make a change. And it was a two-part question, right? So I started to learn about certain artists. I started admiring certain artists who had their arts depicted in the art room, and my skill level, it was cool, but it wasn't up to par and advanced with those who I saw. So, and they was playing a lot of politics, in art rooms. So it was like you almost had to run for president to get a lock up in there. So when I finally wiggled my way in there, and I was just in admiration. And there was another artist who he didn't mind sharing some of the little secrets and little parts of the craft. So others, they were less reluctant to do it. So what I did, I just I would learn silently, and I would study their work and see how they articulated this or blended that. And I would practice, and I would get my skill up to par, and I would start doing my due diligence about artists and doing a little on art history and figuring out who these big names were, who the revered names were, and it gave me a greater sense of other people's work when people, you will look at a piece, and though it may not be pleasing to your eye, but it may have some intellectualization to it, so why he articulated the piece in that manner to it as though it invoked, it caused you to think like, oh, that's a deep situation. So it caused me to respect other artists and respect and value my own work, and just continue to create, and it's been a beautiful journey. So that's what it has allowed me to do in those times of my transitioning to be a better person.
How did incarceration influence your sense of identity and value as an artist?
It let me know I was great. I had to go against all that I heard in lockup, as he said, all the stigmas that the world would tell me. I had to know what God said about me, that you're marvelously and wonderfully made, that you're the head and not the tail, that I know the thoughts that I have towards you, not to harm you, but to prosper you and give you an expected end. I learned to encourage myself every day for 15 months. I heard God say something, you're great, and I repeated it to myself. I would look in the mirror and I say, I'm great. But then I heard him say, the world, no, you're leaving prison this year. The world will see your artwork, and you're a millionaire. And I repeated it back to myself. every day, 15 times a day for a year and a half. And I believed. I came out 4 years early. I'm gonna tell you later on what my outlook has been. But then y'all gonna see later on when we become millionaires.
While we're on the topic of your artwork, what mediums do you prefer and why?
Well, I started off with principally black and white, that's cool. My first love is pastel. I love. I really can't tell you why. It's color. It's a smooth and a chalk medium, but it's rapid, and I like it because you just have to. It's like almost like a baby if you don't fix it, because you just have to handle it with care. And the pictures is just literally always alive. So I like it in that sense. But the oil is cool, the acrylic is cool. You can get more expressive. You can do bigger pieces with the fluid mediums. But those intricate little personal pieces of work, I love pastel.
I only do pastel.
Only do pastel?
Yeah, this is all I've been ever since 2014 when I first learned. I haven't did nothing else. I don't know how to paint.
I've been trying to get them. I encourage you.
It became something that it became me. And what I learned about it, it works. You know, they said it ain't broke, don't fix it.
One of the things I've been looking at is the book Mapping Time, I think, that sister wrote about from Rutgers, and I apologize, I don't remember her name at the moment.
We have it on the table.
And she discusses in depth wonderful, extraordinary information about art and made by people formerly incarcerated and incarcerated. She brings up a lot of things. She brings up a lot of information that, that in depth. She does a lot of work, in depth work. One of the things she talks about are explorations of themes of power in the word personal erasure, how your life has been erased before, that shows up in your word, and then the imaginative possibility. When I look at Alden's work, she has the dragons, and she has the fish, and I think about the imagination that she, going from the state of where she was, but the imagination that she reached to, that her spirit to be able to communicate and that connection. And I think about too, what are some of the themes of exploration of themes of power, especially, I know in yours, because you reverse the roles. So let's talk about that a little bit. Exploration of themes of power, personal erasure, and imaginative possibility.
Pointed me out to be very hard.
Yours are dynamic organized.
So, in my work, not just this work here that y'all have seen out there or that y'all see up on the screen, I take, or in my book, I took Caucasian people and black people and I reversed the roles up. So what you'll see is white people go through slavery, Jim Crow. You'll also see them being shot and killed by black police officers. And in this work, you see guards being in prison and the inmate being on the other side. Because the theme of power is who dominates, who oppresses who. What I want to be understood is what people go through. No matter what what oppressive state is, I want you to be able to understand the humanity, not the skin color. Because what we know about the prison system is a lot of African American people are put there. And a lot of it deals with skin color or lack of money. Who's been in power? The dynamic of power, if you shift it and you only snap your fingers and think about where you could be, is what changes everything. It's what makes us fight. The advocacy work that y'all are, the reason why y'all here, fighting on people's behalf because of the understanding that you have about what it could be if I was in that other person's shoes. That makes you think. That makes me as an artist make people think. I'm here not to get people to do nothing but think about the us.
This guy here, when he was doing, when he was articulating the reverse roles, and we were in jail. We were in Venezuela at the time, so I'm just doing my little, like, I'm gonna sit off for a second, I'm gonna come back because I'm gonna make sure I answer the question. But when, I don't know what I was doing, I'm painting, passing, and I'm doing something, and then he comes up, he said, this is what I got from, I'm working on it, and tell me what you think. So when I saw it, I was like this, oh shit. And see, when I said, now, this is a deep situation right here, because the officer that was in charge of the art room was, he was Caucasian, like a cool guy. And this nut rolls over to him and said, hey, I want you to check this out and then tell me what you think. So I'm like, oh, you know, certain little things. I mean, I try not to be too political. In prison is already. I just try to be, because we already threaded the thin line, and he just went overboard with the situation. So leg turned beet red. Oh, we about to get locked down. They're gonna whoop Carlos and everything, man. And there's gonna all be something. So he left out, but he just, held fast to, what he believed in and, what he wanted to articulate. And not just so to speak to have an aha moment like I'm better than you or I'm putting myself above you as a race. Like he was just saying, he just wanted to bring to the attention the awareness of what actually happens and what we go through and we live and experience for so many hundreds of years and still to this day that we're fighting for certain liberties and freedoms, man. It's a fight. So it's a fight, and it's an art that's very much needed. Conversations, a lot of conversations still need to be had, and it should be appreciated. So because all life is precious, and one thing that I've said as I matured is that when we had, after I was having a conversation about friends, and I said I want to have friends. I don't want to characterize. I don't want a person have to ask me, was she white, was she black, was she this, was she that. I know. If regardless what your race is, I want to have friends. I don't want us to just have a conversation. Oh yeah, because my black friend. Oh, because I got my white buddy or my Chinese buddy. No, I have friends. I want to have friends. No title. That's just what it is. Friends. And I think I'm getting off. No, it's okay. Yeah, but I as far as the power things in my work, they're a little subtle, depending on how I'm feeling. If I want to articulate a power or political thing, I'll do it. I very seldom do it, but I more so, just go with how my flow is at the time. So I have a couple of pieces that I have articulated, but they had to be solicited. I need you to, or I would like for you to, because I'm just, I'm kind of laid out. Yeah, that was deep right there. Actually, that's one of them. And yeah, this one is called the Just Us system, and I wanted to illustrate the mass incarceration aspect with birds. And the pigeons, I illustrate the black population with the pigeons, while the white population are free and they are articulated by doves. And statistics can show, you can watch the news, you can read the paper, and the minority in the black community are far outweighing any other race in mass incarceration by 6 times the number. And that's a tremendous problem in this USA. It always has been, and it's continued to be, and thankful to individuals and supporters of yourself who are for social change and justice across all spectrum of the board. I applaud you, we need you, we love you, we thank you. So,
That's power in the next figure too, isn't that pardon?
yes.
This one, I think this is a powerful black man.
Yeah.
You know, the cigar, the focus.
But at the point, yeah, and this is another one. I created this while we were in Venezuela together. They were real strict about art materials. You couldn't do certain things or certain styles. You couldn't get certain mediums, and it was, they were just monopolizing the whole aspect of our creativity as it pertains to what we were allowed to do. So I didn't have canvas. They wouldn't allow us to get certain canvases. So I found a piece of cardboard, a hard piece of cardboard, in the trash. I got it out the trash. I got me some paint and some chalk that it was outlining the chalk on the field. I made my own gesso. I gessoed it up. I had some sand in there, and I had a newspaper clipping. It was newspapers and some clippings, and a magazine. I came across this article, and it was all ripped up. So I was trying to put it together. The guy's name was Kevin Stewart, and they gave his he was saying something about multiple sclerosis, and I think it was a very cool piece, a unique piece. So I re-articulated it in my own fashion, and I used his imagery. But in learning about multiple sclerosis, I got one of the aides in the library to pull me up some literature on it. And the effects of multiple sclerosis, it was as though you are really literally a prison in your own body that you don't have no control. You twitch, you have spasms until you go through the motions, you have no control. And in that setting, it was parallel to what I was going through. Though I didn't have this ailment, I was literally physically inside of a prison with no control, like literally no control over my physical body. And I thought it was important for me to articulate this piece to where as though literally this is illustrating all the life being drained from me in that setting. And after I finished reading that, the guy was attributing the article to a family member who survived multiple sclerosis, and he's back in his full essence and enjoying life. And I named it pardon because he survived it. And he got his life back. His whole essence back. As if he was just pardoned from a sin that he committed. That he was restored. So I named it pardon because I was like, that's going to be me in a little bit. Yeah. So, yeah. So, and to God be the glory, here I am now. A lot of support, praise and prayer, which I do believe was the ultimate conduit for me to receive this breakthrough. is, respecting and honoring and giving glory to God through my whole transformation. I can't rob him for it. I wouldn't dare rob him for it. And I just, I'm thankful for all my supporting units, nucleus that was around through the whole ordeal. But I just, continue to give glory to God because literally, I had a 32-year sentence. And I'm praying and praying and praying and praying, and asking for some things to change, asking for some things to change, asking for some things to change. But during that transition, I was still trying to do things on my own accord. It wasn't aligned up with his principles and who he was. So I'll get to the door, oh, you got this motion, but the motion can get denied. So it stepped me back. Still dealing with it. So I'm trying to just go through, utilizing everybody. Write this motion, okay, well, can you put yourself on the stand for me or be a witness and, trying to do the blame game thing, put whatever, or the dead man did it in X, Y, Z, but not taking any accountability for myself. So to that point, when I had to come to terms and accept responsibility and hold myself accountable, that's when things started to flow. I was actually in line with what I was asking for and who, the Creator in his essence and his precepts were allowing me to be. So as long as I kept on trying to do this and go that way, do this and go that way, denied. But once I stayed true to who I was, and I just no longer wanted to become something I despised in others, I kept my foot forward and I didn't turn back. And if I can't keep it totally transparent and honest with you, I just can't keep it no way. So I just, it's easier to live in your truth. It's just so much easy just to be honest. If I can do something, I can do it. If I can't, I can't. It's just that simple. No more masks, no more hide, no more facade, because at the end of the day, sometimes you're going to have to take it off. So I just decided to take it off rather quicker and have to just, continue to go through the discipline. And here I have the breakthrough. So, man, that piece is a very serious piece. It's dear to me, and it's a living testimony to, the goodness and the restorative actions and his loving kindness from God. So I just thank you.
I really have to acknowledge these moments of extraordinary wisdom and extraordinary depth and information that are coming from these gentlemen. And I really, if you all could, we're not done yet. I have more questions, and I'm going to also ask you all if you have questions, but I just would like to give them just a round of applause to thank you all. A couple of more questions. You were talking about risks involved with the creation of work materials, certain themes off limit. One gentleman was talking about he couldn't use wood. He got in trouble because he couldn't use wood. So why don't you talk a little bit about that? And also a question about ownership. Because sometimes if you make work in the space, is it yours or is it theirs? And then what are the ramifications? How does your work get outside of this institution?
I think personally, well, this is what I know. The art world, that's probably bigger than the drug world in jail. For whatever reason, the guards, they were always disruptive. They were always trying to incite, or entice a situation as though they want to keep us on lockdown. A lot of materials wasn't allowed, to advance our creative expression. So when we had the opportunity to get our hands on these little things, we cherished them. And more oftentimes, you know, when they have the shakedowns, they come through, there's, you know, they take your art, you can have just spent, you could have spent 50 hours on taking a piece. You're at your last brush stroke, and they come, oh, this is too big, and they come and, you know, rip your artwork up. So it was, you know, devastating moments, man, because art really was our freedom in jail. And I wasn't playing basketball. I mean, I work out with this gentleman right here, but basketball wasn't my thing. Soccer wasn't my thing. Watching TV, playing cards, nothing. It was me trying to be in that creative space, and I did everything in my power to live in that art room. When we weren't allowed to have our materials in the unit, every chance I got, I snuck my materials back in the unit. I snuck paint in the unit. I canvas, wood, everything that I could, because I'm in my creative zone. I'm taking it back, and because when you're going through these periods, we having COVID, the world is shut down, we having mass shakedowns. You understand what people that you may not get along with is it's literally like you're living in the bathroom with another man or two men, and it's, you know, you just needed something to occupy your mind and be creative. And every chance I made sure I had me enough material so I can, man, weather any storm, and, you know, I can get through. But a lot of our works, they never made it. It was crazy, because you would think that, you know, when you're incarcerated, you're supposed to be, you know, doing things to rehabilitate you. But that's not often the truth. You know, it's a lot of discouragement there, it's a lot of politics. And it's just an environment really not conducive for anything to be productive, unless you really, man, have that mindset that, no, I'm going to do other than this. Though I'm going to do this and have this treatment from, you know, this system, I'm going to think and I'm going to do otherwise. So just having that mental fortitude, man, to push past and remain positive in a good, healthy, creative space, it's everything. So, like even glue. Why wouldn't you want to have glue? But yeah, he can tell you.
As far as me,
I just knew it. I knew for a fact. I just knew that work wasn't gonna make it. I said, when he made that up, that ain't gonna make it. I knew for a fact it wasn't gonna make it.
as far as me, I did not go to the art room and do most of my art. I did all my art in the confines of that little bathroom that we lived in. And I was scared that it would get messed up whenever they come in and do a shakedown, because I had a bunch of artwork just sitting in the room, but they left. To God be the glory. Love it. I was afraid that my artwork would get damaged, that they would not like it, because I was going against a system that we all are a part of, and how you manage, or how God has allowed me to manage to get the thoughts out of my head to bring it to fruition. This could have easily been destroyed. It could have been wrecked. Y'all would never been able to see it. Me telling you about it would have been a waste of time. But I do have the artwork to actually prove that, hey, it was done and in prison. So for me, yes, they do damage artwork. For me, I was also able to ship all my artwork out. I only used pastels and paper. I didn't do wood, I didn't do none of the other stuff. So it worked out. And I'm able to share my gift with you now. So that's pretty great.
This is going to be our last question, and then we're going to open the floor to the audience. If you both could invite anyone or two people in history or someone that you are already connected with to dinner, who would it be and why?
But I read that question, and I was indecisive, because I'm like, do I want to bring anybody back? Anybody back?
Or present?
Well, I'm going to tell you, I talked to her, I just give you, he was 19 years old, a photographer. I asked him that question. He said to me, he would want to talk to Eartha Kitt. And I'm like, this young man, and I'm like, what you know about Eartha Kitt? But what he described and how he talked about it, there was this real appreciation. So I'm just sharing that with you to kind of help you to really appreciate it.
Actually, I probably had maybe, I would bring 3 people back for 3 specific reasons. I would bring Harriet Tubman back, just to let her see how far that we've come and that her work wasn't done in vain. I would bring Van Gogh back just to have a conversation with him because in prison, because if you know the history of Van Gogh, he had suffered from mental depression, and he cut his ear off and he ultimately committed suicide. He shot himself and died 2 days later in the arms of his brother. But reading his letters unto his brother, man, Van Gogh was a nut. That was my man. And he was one of the influences learned about him that I got to incorporate in my portfolio. So I went on when reading about him, I went on a Van Gogh nut. I think I probably did probably 50 Van Gogh pieces in all different forms of an abstract expression. And I would just want to have a conversation with him to encourage him about mental health and let him know that he isn't alone in his struggle. And lastly, I would bring one of those pharaohs, maybe a couple of dynasties before King Tut, because I want to know how they articulated that pyramid. And so those are the reasons.
I thought about this question really deep. There was only one person that came to my mind. Oh man, Jacob Lawrence. The reason why, after learning about him, the migration series is 60 panels, and it was very deep, but the artwork itself wasn't like no Van Gogh, but the artwork spoke. It captured a moment in time of people going from the south to the north to get away from oppression for a better life. And I'd already started doing my series, Walk a Mile in Our Shoes. That's the one where I reversed the roles of white and black people. And after learning about him, I'd already did like so many pictures. And there's 48 in that book. And now today I did over 60-something pictures based off one idea. He did 60 based off one idea. It was just phenomenal. The depth of his work, because I've never heard of anybody doing that many just based on one idea. So I decided to try to beat it. I didn't conquer the goal, man, but the idea was just phenomenal about how deep he was. Because in migration series, he literally, as an artist, captured a moment of time. But don't nobody else take it as the next 10, 15 years. What I learned is that we have captured a moment of time. Any artwork that was done from 2012 to now, it deals with a moment of time. Black Lives Matter. This is a moment that has never been done. I'm not saying that our lives didn't matter, but it had never been captured what has been captured, or the fight is different. Not that the same issues hasn't already been there, but the thing about it is we're fighting it different. Through art, through voice, literally fighting. And what we're doing now, in 20 years, they're going to talk about this moment. And as artists, what we're able to do is capture the moment. Not just like a camera, but in our mediums, whether it's paint, whether it's film, whether it's through pastel. However you capture this moment, and it'll be priceless in the future. So,
And I also want to say, I'm so glad this has been captured on video.
And you talked about capturing moments. I remember when we were looking through the pictures. First we had saw Harry's piece, and then we stumbled on this piece, and I was like, oh my God, she's talking about Harry Ellis, right? And then when listening to the interview, you hear Harry Ellis talking about Gregory Bolden. He's talking about this one sitting right here. So if you could just connect those dots for us and tell us, because you refer to him as Van Gogh in this portrait. And so you could, or are you speaking to it? If you could just speak to it.
I mean, with this particular piece, it was I wanted to create like a little flyer, a marketing piece for the artists that were incarcerated at the time that I put it together. And when I say I met Harry Ellis in the concrete jungle in jail by Daryl Grayson. Daryl Grayson, he is another artist from DC, and he's the author from DC. And you know, he gave me a lot of leeway to a couple of connects to try to articulate and get my name solidified in the art world. And I just wanted to, you know, this is a shout out to them and be given back and how they highlighting their name in one of my pieces. So I just wanted to articulate them. And I got this, you can't see it, it's like a imprint. It says opaque, O-P-A-Q-U-E, and academically speaking, it stands for on passion and quest, use everything. So everything that I had involving my artistic passion, I used everything at my disposal. Cups, paper, boxes, whatever I needed to do to put my piece together, I used it. And everything that I have to my advantage now, all the people who love places and things and material that I have to my ability, I'm using it in a positive way. So I just, you know, encourage you all, man, to remain opaque, man.
And now.
Oh, I answered the question, sorry.
No, you didn't answer the question.
I just love Harry Ellis. That's my man. Like, yeah, Harry Ellis, he has been a mentor to me. He's one of the guys that, you know, I met along the way in this journey that I've learned so much. That he's an amazing individual. So always learning, always evolving, and so he's just a bright star, bright star. And even articulating big pieces, and like he goes against the grain too. I'm thinking I was going hard by taking the tribute. That man got a whole factory in his field. And I got encouraged when I came through one time, and he had this big canvas. Probably it was this high. And I was wondering, like, well, how did you get all the way up there? So he had it taped up, you know, and I'm gonna show you how I did it. And from that point on, when I would put together a big canvas, it just seemed, it got, even though the canvas, it was a big size, it just seemed so small because I was used to doing these big canvases. So he's always encouraging me to do better, be better, speak well, be well, and just, you know, to be a better individual. And I can't wait till, you know, he, granted his freedom that you all can have an opportunity to meet him and love him. And he's just an amazing man. I love him. And it's crazy because he was my mentor and I'm his mentor, and we all in this little pot of love and art together, man. So it's a beautiful thing, man.
Segun, Fatiu. I started art in 2007. I was doing a 45-year bit. I was getting in a lot of trouble, and I had an extra 10 years, so it ended up 55 years. So when I started doing art, I was in solitary confinement, and I used to read all the time. I seen him had a picture of George Jackson up there. I was reading George and all them, Marcus Garvey, Malcolm X. You know, I'm like a history buff. trying to find myself, trying to discover who I am. And so I needed something as a pastime because I didn't want to burn myself off from reading. So I started drawing pictures out of a magazine. And that's how I got started, 2007. So I made a commitment to myself. I draw one picture every day. And I draw a picture every day until I got released. I was released December of last year. And the thing is, I didn't start drawing until I was like in my 30s. Because I got locked up when I was 19. I did 27 years, 8 months, and 3 weeks. So since I've been drawing and since I've been doing artwork, it's been a very creative thing because I try to do artwork that reflects my consciousness, that shows possibility, and to capture reality. Because a lot of times when you look at art, some people say you gotta do art like this, you gotta do like that. Art is what you make it. It tells a story, how you create the art, how you shape the piece, it always tells a story. And it always penetrates and resonates with the people that view it. And you allow them to continue to be your inspiration, your foundation for your next piece. Right. Yeah, exactly. And the thing is because I got a true connection with our ancestors. And I feel that the relationship between our ancestors and our present have to be reciprocal. They gave to me, I must give to us. So whenever I create art, whenever I share, when I express my art, I was always returning what was given to me.
I know what to say. You see the mic, guys. I have a poem. Can I recite? Yeah. Oh, I got the stage. This is the proper time to do this. And this poem is titled Me, acronymically speaking, my environment. And here we go. Mom, can I take my bike and go outside? Because Mikey just got his and he's trying to ride. I finished my homework and my book report is due next week. And I've got to then to figure out where I'm going to be. Oh, okay. Now let's see the world and go outside. And don't forget to put your helmet on before you ride. And don't be jumping off them curbs and riding them in them streets. And when you get back in, you tell me what you want to be. So off we go. Ain't no yellow brick road, far from ours. But what's the percentage of us being a success? What's the odds? And as we parked our bikes and looked around, what did we see? Our whole neighborhood is filled with ghetto athletes. Oh, I know. I can be a running back like Jerome. I hate to be sprinting up the middle and through the sides of our home. Or maybe I can be a wrestler. Because when the cops come, they clothesline and suplex them and pin them down. Or maybe I can play tennis like Dennis and serve 8 balls in my court at 90 miles per hour. I don't know about being a chef, because Mr. Willie got hit with the left. Them grown folks here from selling flour. Oh, look at Mr. Sam the mailman. Always getting chased by a dog. Oh, snap, look, Chucky did his mailbag. And Mr. Sam is trying to shake him off. It gets him every time. Pedaling further down these streets of mine. Same thing. Bums digging through trash, people cussing. Everything seems fine. Until we get to Mrs. Rowe's house. That's the candy lady. All the ladies wear see-through clothes. That's what Mr. Lance be doing, his funky dance in his skinny pants. And sometimes he don't be wearing drawers. Uncle Gut called him a free baller. But every time he see us two, he always give us dollars. But even though I failed to mention, this ain't all I see, I can't wait to tell my mom what I'm going to be. Mom! Mom! I finally know what I'm going to be. What is it, boy? Oh, Mom, I want to be a pimp hustler. Boy, what you say? Hold on, Mom. How you going to whip me when I did everything that you asked of me? You said when I go outside and see what I want to be, but outside, that's all I see. Thank you.
I have a mic for you all. Don't be shy. So we need the microphone for the live stream.
Yeah. Okay. So you guys are artists. You guys already produce drawings. Okay. Most artists I know always have other things that they do. I wonder what other ways do you see to have a medium for your art, other than music?
So I am an artist, but I also created a rap debate. I took rap music and debate and put it together. It's not for me, I can't rap. But what it is for our culture. Shout out to hip hop, it is 50 years old. It's really, what I understand is it is a medium, just like paint, just like pastel. And if you utilize this medium correctly, what happens, it does what it used to do, but it's educating. It's still educating today, negatively. But if you learn to use it correctly, you educate in any way because it's a language, nothing more. It's like Spanish and English. If you use it, the youth know how to speak so fluently in it that if you give them a topic, they can wrap circles around it. But if you pair it together, what happens, it influences the world, as we already know rap has already done. Just now use it. Me, that's one of the things, and then I plan on taking a documentary and capture the stories like this young man or myself. Because what I learned is that we are hope for people who are sitting in prison that don't know that they can come out and be anything they want to be. Yeah. Or for people out here who are going through some y'all own prison and don't know that you gonna make it through. All you got to do is, me, I would tell you trust God. And lean on, not into your own understanding, but give him praise and glory for all things and watch what happens. I can promise you, you may go through something right now, or a hurricane may come through and wipe out everything. Guess what? As long as you got life, you can rebuild. Life is meant to be rebuilt. And when you rebuild, you'll rebuild better. That is what we are trying to do with a prison system. Not to break down that one, but to create something new in people's minds. So I'm an architect.
I kind of went to Mars for 1 second. Yeah, I am. But it's like I said, I'm just. It's been a year for me, so I'm just getting back acclimated to society. I'm still trying to figure out how to work this phone. My wife, she talking about, you want to get a new phone? I got a little iPhone 11. She's trying to get me up to the 14, and I don't even know how to work this 11 yet. So, all the ways as far as creative-wise to make it work for me. I am an author as well. I paint murals. I'm trying to get my feet wet with my motivational speaking. Like all the creative aspects that an artist can move in, I'm stepping into it. I'm just, making new connections in every possible way that's positive that I can be a part of to make an impact, a positive impact on the community. I'm all forward, my feet, I'm 10 toes, the boots on the ground. And it's just, me, educating and learning about, the craft. So, everybody wants to be everything, but don't know how to do nothing. So I just want to, try to articulate myself and, get familiar with what I'm about to be involved in so I can actually know what I know.
I'm continuing what I was doing in prison, but just outside. The one thing that I learned when I was in prison, that education is vital. And one of the things that I made in my business, among other brothers in the organization called BOM, is to teach accurate interpretation of African history and culture. Because culture is what allows us to have our identity, and that in and of itself transform our consciousness. So we've been doing that since I've been out. We continue doing the work. We have a software development program for young Black boys to develop them, you know what I mean, in terms of their self-esteem, self-concept, brotherhood skills, communication skills, social skills, and all those type of things. So that's what we do. That's what I'm doing. I think that's what we are needed as Black men, amongst the Black boys. You know what I mean? Developing them, bringing them in the right direction, but we got to be that example for them. So that's why I said I'm doing the same thing I was in there, and I'm doing out here. No side strap. Absolutely. No God teach by Absolutely.
Read a comment back here.
First, I wanted to say thank you to each of you for sharing your stories, and then also welcome home. And I would also like to ask, if you all could recount, what was that pivotal moment that, despite your conditions, made you, I guess, more aligned with gratitude and appreciation that helped you get through your experience?
I think for me, I met a brother named Fatiu. He introduced history and culture. He gave me a different perspective of things. Because when I was young, like 19 to 20, I just ain't seen nothing but destruction. You know, and I thought I was above the law, you know what I mean? So I was doing everything to break the law. But when I began to have an accurate awareness of who I am, where I come from, my history, my culture, the individual that sacrificed for us to be here, to enjoy some of the privileges and rights that we have right now, I began to see things differently. You know, that began to tell me what I need to do in order for me to be great. You know, so what I did, I started taking the time every day to recognize that, to appreciate that. That was a turning point for me because I never really did that before. You know, giving thanks to somebody that you never seen before. You know, recognize somebody that you ain't shared the same space with some. You know, because you've been seeing things so differently for so long. Even though I was still young, I was still ignorant. And I never really wanted to embrace that ignorance at the time. So for the turning point when I began to realize that I didn't know anything. And all I know that I needed to know. And that's what changed.
I guess one of the defining moments and a turning point in my life during the time of my incarceration is when I lost everything, like literally. The house, cat, dog, relationship, job, everything. And it was just a point in my life to where as though I had to have that conversation with, you know, I have a healthy spiritual relationship, and I had to have these hard talks and these pleadings with God. And, you know, he extended a lot of favor and grace and mercy unto me. But even still then, I was, like I was telling you before, I was still trying to work and do things my way until I had to fully surrender. And once I fully surrendered, and there was no more BS, no more lies, no more pointing the finger, you know, accepting accountability and walking, you know, in his light and with his word and trusting, you know, all the things he said I can be, I can have, and all the accessibility to his grace and mercy and all his provisions. And once I just, you know, it clicked in my head that, like, you have to change. It's just not enough about just saying it, you have to actually be the change. And once I started taking these little baby steps, and that's why I was introduced to this brother, then we was just, you know, from that point on, making these positive steps to be effective in agents of change. So getting to the praise team, getting around positive brothers in jail, and, you know, that you can, you know, articulate and, you know, be a sharpener of your character, because you want to imitate and emulate those who have influence that you hang around.
And so I just decided to be, even if it was oftentimes by myself, and more times you look better by yourself, because if you're going to get into something, it's going to be of your own doing. And it's just that, that's when I just, really had that turning point that I wanted better, I needed to be better, and I just didn't never want to become, that which I despise in other people. I didn't want to be no liar anymore. I didn't want to be no cheater anymore. I didn't want to be no thug anymore. I wanted better because I can have better and be better. And that's what's one of the moments for me.
Mine was a mixture of both. I studied Black history for about 3 years. And then one day, my parents came to see me. They were sick. They were of older age. They passed 80 and 79 years old. That's been some of the home. Now, what ended up happening, they came, I went back to the cell and I got on my knees and asked God to give me something that helped me make money so I never had to sell drugs again. This was 2014. I started doing art, but I was walking on the compound one day and I looked out there, and this was probably about a month after this. I looked and there was a black correctional officer, and he was standing with his hands behind his back like this. And there was a white guy cutting grass directly in front of him. And I said to my friend, I said, damn, this looks like this could be a black slave master and a white slave. He said, I can see it. About 2 months later, I'm going through a Black history book, reading, and I see a picture. There's 2 white guys chasing a black guy. It was in black and white. I said, the idea popped back in my head. So what ended up happening, that day I started doing art. In the next 3.5 years, my whole entire life, I started doing picture after picture, probably one every 7 days. And 2 correctional officers said, yo, you should write a book to your artwork. I never wrote a book, but God gave me the words. And then, next thing I know, it runs in a sequence. You remember when Kim Kardashian, them, Van Jones, John Legend, them started fighting for prison reform? Well, probably about 3.5 years before this, my mother, God bless her soul, she's gone, she said, pack your bags. I thought it was almost crazy, I gotta be honest. But she told me this every Sunday and every Wednesday for 3.5 years. After I did all the artwork, wrote the book, something popped in my head. I'm gonna say, God told me, try. One day, I told my friend, I said, look, my mama told me to pack my bags, I'm about to look crazy. But every for 3 months, I'm gonna take and pack my bags, and I'm gonna walk over to the R&D door and look out the window. And I'm gonna visualize in my mind me leaving. I did it for 3 months. About 6 months to a year later, I left prison 4 years earlier. I literally do not supposed to be here until later this year. I'm out 4 years earlier. Now, I told you all that to tell you, remember I told you I was going to tell you earlier that I was going to tell y'all what my artwork has been? Right now, I've been out for 4 years, and I told you literally I just came home 4 years ago with Kim Kardashian and did all this, but my artwork has been at the World Trade Center 3 years ago. I've exhibited in DC twice, Baltimore twice, Florida, Georgia. I've sold over 6,500 copies of that book, and over 6,200 hand to hand, and signed every one of them. I promise you. Right. I've seen God do a miracle. I got to see both of my parents before they passed on this side. Only God can do this. And he came home how many years earlier?
15.
Neither one of us literally supposed to be here, but what God allows you to do is take your situation, and when you align yourself back to his will and get your hands off the wheel, what happens, you get to see an act of God that you cannot even fathom. But the biggest part of it, I told you I was going to tell you another scripture. Now, it says, and they overcame by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of their testimony. Their only testimony is for you to understand that you'll make it through. 13 years in prison. I didn't have a clue that I'd be in here talking to y'all. But I did say 3 things, I tell you. I'm leaving prison early. The world is gonna see my artwork, and I'm a millionaire. And I said this 15 times a day, but then the Bible says, write the vision and make it plain, so that he who sees it will take and run with it. It is for an appointed time. It shall speak and not lie. Wait for it. Though it may tarry, wait for it. That means, that's what anything God spoke into your spirit. So to answer your question, when God spoke something into my spirit and I believed it, my life changed.
And with that, unfortunately, I just got a time check. We're going to have to close out the program. But thank you all so much for coming.